Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So, this is my May book haul. I'm currently leaning on one of my book stacks. I only held up half of one of the stacks for the thumbnail because your girl's lazy. I didn't feel like doing my hair today because it's hot, and this was gonna take effort. So, this is gonna be a long book haul because things happened this month. I kind of went a little crazy with the book buying this month, and no promises for June. June's my birthday month, which means it's going to be gift cards aplenty, so June will most likely look very similar to this. But I'm just going to get started, because this is going to be a long video. Get yourselves a snack. I got myself a lovely beverage, because your girl's going to talk a lot in this video, so let's go. Okay, a majority of this is going to be romance. I apologize in advance. You guys know I'm on a kick with this. It's not all romance, but it's a big portion of it. So, going back to the beginning of the month, the first purchase that I made was off of a romance Facebook group, buy, sell, swap, trade thing. I talk about these all the time. I always tell you guys, just go on Facebook and search the words like book, like YA book, buy, swap, trade, sell, or whatever. A whole bunch of groups will show up. That's what I do. That's how I find a lot of my books. But I believe there was a person who was doing 4 books for $15, and there was just like huge stacks of books to choose from. So I got these 4. The first one you guys have seen me talk about because I included it, I think, in my Smudathon TBR. And that book is Buck Wild by Lauren Landish. This is an author that's been recommended to me. It's a cowboy. It is book 1 of the Bennett Boys Ranch series. I've never read anything by Lauren Landish. You guys know I'm just kind of exploring the romance genre, and I'm just trying a whole bunch of authors, so anything that kind of catches my fancy, I'm picking it up. And this is a cowboy one, and I'm curious about it too. And in that same purchase, I also got Book Boyfriend by Claire Kingsley. I've heard good things about this author. It's also called Book Boyfriend. Like, how relevant is that to my life? But I believe it's actually following a romance between a guy who is a romance author and uses a female pen name, and I believe one of his fans, I think. That sounds great. Like, he has kind of like an alter ego, and I'm sure he writes really good, like, steamy, sexy scenes in his books, so I'm sure that means he's good in bed, right? That's where my brain went with it. Anybody else? Am I just weird? Probably just me. I also picked up Dangerous Hearts by KK Allen because I believe KK Allen is signing at a Polycon, and also it's a very well-loved author. A lot of people love her books. This, I believe, is a music-oriented thing. Raspy vocals, lead singer, musician, romance. There you go. Another one, I just added a 4th book. I didn't really know any of the other ones, but I got a Katie Ashley book called Music of the Heart. I see a tattooed boy. I'm guessing this is also another band, musician, rock star, romance. We're gonna give those a try, see how it goes. Next, my very good bookish friend who still works at a bookstore who supplies me with a whole bunch of ARCs that I may not be able to get, so she's a good friend to have, gave me an ARC of Julie Buxbaum's newest release, which is already out by now. This actually came out in May, but Hope and Other Punchlines is one of my most anticipated books of the year just because I adored What to Say Next by her. I'm very excited about this. I believe I've talked about this in a releases video or whatever. This is following a girl who was photographed as a baby in front of 9/11, and she became kind of like an icon for hope on the internet. Like, she's just one of those famous photographed babies. And it's basically her story as a teenager trying to kind of like live her own life outside of her internet ego, and she goes to a summer camp, meets a boy who was drastically affected by 9/11. It sounds emotional and probably really going to be hard to read, but I adore her writing, so I will read everything that she writes. So thank you so much, Wahi, for giving this to me. The next ARC is one that I can't believe is still in my hands. I've already read it. I already talked about it in my wrap-up. I'm doing a full review for it. That is The Dragon Republic by R.F. Kuang. This is the sequel to The Poppy War. I basically put out a desperate plea to the internet. I turned to Twitter. I don't go on Twitter. Twitter is a scary place to me, but I basically was just desperate to get an ARC of this. So I turned to ARCs for Trade on Twitter, which again is also a very scary place on the internet. And I basically was like, hey, I will sell my soul for a copy of The Dragon Republic. And somebody messaged me. So Lindy, who messaged me, sent this my way. You are now like my best friend in the entire world, and I am going to be like forever in your debt for putting this in my hands. I'm so excited. I can't even tell you how thankful I am for this, so thank you so much for giving this to me. If you ever need any arcs, let me know. I will hook you up because this is like a unicorn for 2019 for me. My May book of the month book that I got was The Bride Test by Helen Huang, much like everybody else who gets book of the month. I adore these books. I've also already read this. This was also already in my wrap up for May, but I need to haul it, so here we are, hauling it. I've also placed a lot of random book orders because I did have some random gift cards floating around since Easter that I was just like, you know, I should spend these, so that's what a majority of this haul is. I finally got my copy of the UK version of Record of a Spaceborne Few by Becky Chambers. This is the third book in the, what is this trilogy actually called? The first book is The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet, which is one of my favorite books of all time, and I adore the UK covers. Like, the US covers look like really good nostalgic sci-fi covers. Like, I think they made them kind of stylized to look like an 80s sci-fi movie cover or book cover, but the UK ones are just freaking stunning. Like, these colors, I just adore them. So I was basically waiting for Book Depository to get their paperbacks in so that they could match the rest. I have the rest somewhere back there. This is my sci-fi shelf. They're back there, but I just wanted to complete the trilogy or the series out. I don't know. I haven't read this one yet. I know, shocker. So, got that. Was very excited about that. Then, in my last haul, I showed you guys that I randomly picked up 2 books in a series that I just got from Ollie's. They were like MMA fighter romances, and I ended up getting books 3 and 4 in that series, and I was like, I'll just look to see if I can get the first 2 for really cheap from somewhere. And one of you guys is a beautiful human being named Lindsay, sent me a message and said that she actually had books 1 and 2, and she would be fine sending them to me, and I was just like, are you sure? Because what? And also she said book 1 is actually the arc, so I have book 1, which is Against the Ropes, and book 2, which is In Your Corner. These are both by Sarah Castile. I got books 3 and 4 last month, or well, 2 months ago I guess now, but I hauled it in my last book haul, and she sent it to me along with like a whole bunch of swag. I saved your little note in here, but there's like a whole bunch of like signed swag in here. So, Lindsay, thank you so much for sending these my way. This is like ridiculously exciting to me. Like, as you guys know, the romance genre is ridiculously exciting to me right now because everything is just new and unexplored, and it's just, I feel special like bringing it to BookTube because there's not that much romance on BookTube, and I'm just throwing it at you guys left and right. So while we're on the romance kick, like I said, I did have some gift cards just burning a hole in my wallet, so I went ahead and I got the last 3 books in the True North series by Serena Bowen. So this is Bountiful, Speakeasy, and Fireworks. This is books 4, 5, and 6 in the True North series, which you guys know I adore. This is basically like takes place in Vermont at like an orchard cider making farm, and it follows like a whole bunch of different individual romances. Each book is a different romance. I adore it. It's one of my favorite romance series. So I just wanted to complete the series out and like own what are printed. I think there's gonna be more in the series, but as of right now, these are the 6 books that are out in it. So now I have a complete set, which is very exciting. Then, possibly one of the most exciting purchases that I made this month. I mean, The Dragon Republic was like top of the top for me in this book haul. Like, that's the book I'm most excited about. I'm not gonna lie, this one was pretty exciting. So, there's a book that came out. When did this come out? In 2018. Do you guys remember, if you guys aren't in the romance genre, I don't know if you guys would know about this, but there was an author who came out a long time ago and tried to trademark the word cocky for her book titles. It was this whole controversy that happened a year or 2 years ago, and it basically like blew up the romance genre. Everyone was just like furious over this whole situation. So basically out of that controversy was birthed Cocktails. This is a huge anthology of cocky stories, like stories that have the word cocky in the title, written by like tons and tons. This is literally the list of all the authors who are featured in this. Tons and tons of short stories about cocky guys in romances. It was basically this very limited run that they did of this book. They only ran it from May 26th to August 26th of last summer. So basically, these go onto eBay or these go into like book selling sites for so much money. Like, people sell these for hundreds and hundreds of dollars just because they're a limited edition thing. They're never going to be printed again. So it's like a hot ticket item. And I was basically like, if I ever find it for like less than $100, I'm going to do it, or less than $50 preferably. That would be nice, because let's be real, it's just a book of short stories about sexy, cocky dudes. But it's kind of been like a thing that I've been looking, it's been a unicorn that I've been looking for a while. I saw somebody list it for $30. I about peed my pants. I messaged her so fast. I was like so desperate for it, and I was so terrified that it was gonna sell like that. And it's signed by a lot of people. Like, it's already signed by 1, 2, 3, 4, and I think there's a couple of these stories in here that are signed by the author, like, on their story. And it's signed by a bunch of authors already. Like, it's signed by C.D. Rice, it's signed by B.B. Easton, Dylan Allen, and whoever this is. If you guys know whose signature that is, I'm gonna go through and try and figure it out. I about had a heart attack, guys. Like, this was such a unicorn book for me that I've been trying to get my hands on for so long, for not a ridiculous price. And that was not a ridiculous price. So I am so excited to have this. Okay, I've been talking about this for a long time. For all of you guys who aren't much into romance, this probably means like nothing and it looks like the stupidest thing ever. But for me, it was really exciting. So I've been going through and I've been reading it. Kennedy Ryan has a story in this. It's a Bristol and Grip story, which you guys know I'm so excited about. So that was a really great purchase of mine this month. Moving on, I got my owl crate this month, which I did not unbox on my channel. I apologize, but I do have the We Hunt the Flame to show you guys, the owl crate version that has like the silver letter instead of the gold letters. I'm very excited to get to this. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I've heard really good stuff about it, and it's so pretty, and it came with like character stuff. I just have everything like stuffed in here, but I figured I should include that in this haul because I technically did not unbox my owl crate on my channel this month, so I did get this. I also got a copy of Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. I am saving this for a romance-a-thon later this month, and it's killing me because everybody has been talking about this book nonstop, and I just want to read it so bad, but I'm saving it for that. But I did get this in preparation for a romance-a-thon. I also got a copy of Marriage for One by Ella Mays. This is a book that I've been seeing a lot, especially on like romance bookstagrammers. A lot of my friends that I've talked to from a Polycon, this is one of those hidden gem type of books, and I'm just very excited. Look at that smolder on that cover. All that I know about this is that it's kind of like an arranged, like, fake marriage. No, I think it's a real marriage, actually. It follows Jack and our protagonist. I don't know who our protagonist, Jack and Rose. Oh my god, are you kidding me? Is this Titanic? Jesus Christ. It follows Jack and Rose, and it says, the day he lured me into his office, which was also the first day we met, he proposed. So it's basically following their relationship and how they get married immediately after meeting. And all that I really know about it is that the guy is just like really cold and really douchey and mean and not friendly to her. So like, I'm intrigued by this because this has such high ratings. Like, everybody who's read this loves this. I think it's a really good slow burn romance, which I'm a fan of. And I'm also a fan of the trope of like the really like obnoxious jerk dude and like getting under his skin and like finding his soft inner core. So I think it's gonna be one of these stories. Everybody that I know is like shipping them like crazy. So I picked this up and I'm very excited to get to it. It's also long, like it's a long romance story. So I'm very excited. I also picked up The Risk, which is book 2 in the Briar U series by Elle Kennedy. I worked my way through the Off-Campus series by her last month, so I'm working my way through the Briar U series this month. I'm very excited to get to it. I very much enjoy Elle Kennedy's romances, so this is the next journey for me. I also picked up A Heart and a Body in the World by Deb Coletti because I'm probably the last person on earth to read this because I'm terrified of it. This is one of those books, everybody who I know has just like sobbed through this book. So I've kind of been putting it off because I know that it's gonna hit me right in the emotions and I need to be like prepared for that. But I've also haven't seen anybody give this less than 5 stars. So it's clearly gonna be amazing. I know the basic premise of this, but I don't know much. A lot of people say don't look into it too much before going into it because it's part of like the emotional journey is like uncovering what happened. But I know the basic premise, so I'm not going to give a synopsis, I guess, for that reason. It's a YA contemporary that I believe deals with grief, and that's pretty much what I know. And running. Lots of running. Running away from your problems. So, I'll pick this up when I'm ready. These last books, I have a whole stack right here. I went to Second and Charles. I brought boxes and boxes of books to Second and Charles. I also had a lot of money just sitting on my account there. Second and Charles, in case you guys don't have it where you are, I don't know if it's actually like a countrywide store. It's a really awesome secondhand bookstore, but it's essentially a Barnes & Noble or a Books A Million just used. Like literally everything that's in that store is the same stuff that you would see if you walk into like Books A Million. Like almost all of the same like merch and gifty type things are there, like the same mugs, the same type of like Funkos and games and things like that. Like for some reason it's just, I don't know, it's a cool store and you can trade in books, get store credit, buy new books with it, like brand new books. So it's kind of an exciting thing. So I brought a ton of books. You have a limit of 3 of their white tote bins. It's basically the postal tote bins. You can fill up 3 of those to trade in each trip that you take. I filled up 3. I probably traded in, I'm not exaggerating, like 70 books. So I shopped around while they were processing my order and I got more books. Surprise. But I mean, I traded in like 60 or 70 books and I walked out with like 8. So the ratio is okay. It's fine. But that's also one of the very few places that I do actually buy graphic novels because, again, usually they're cheaper there because they are used. Sometimes they're brand new, but also because I generally accumulate a lot of store credit, so it's not like I'm spending money on them, if that makes sense. So I picked up volumes 2 and 3 of Monstrous. So this is The Blood and Haven. This is a graphic novel series that I am so ready to dive into. I was supposed to read the first one last month, I think. Napoleon picked it for me and I actually didn't get to it because I just was not in the mood for fantasy. And this is, from what I hear, awesome. It's blurbed by Neil Gaiman. It's compared to Game of Thrones and Lord of the Rings, like epic fantasy, so I am ready for this, I'm not gonna lie. So I picked up volumes 2 and 3 of that while I was there, which was super exciting to find. I also picked up 4 Alice Clayton books. So I have Wallbanger. I have Wallbanger by her, and that is kind of the first book of a series, kind of, and so I picked up 2 other books in that series and a novella of it. So I picked up Screwdrivered by her. I picked up My Tied Up, also by Alice Clayton, and then I picked up Last Call. I also picked up Cream of the Crop. Is that not sexual at all? I think this is actually a sequel to Nuts. Her titles, man. Am I right? Yeah, I think Nuts is the first one of this series, but I've heard really good things about Alice Clayton. All of these were around $3 or $4 a piece, and again, I had a ton of store credit, so I was just kind of like wandering around, grabbing books as I saw them. I also picked up a copy of Fumbled by Alexa Martin. This is a very popular sports football romance that's going around right now. This just released. Like, this came out like last month or something, and it was already at Second and Charles. So I do not have Intercepted. Intercepted, I believe, is the first book in this series. So I have a book outlet order coming, and that one was on there. So don't worry, I'll be getting the first books of some of these. But I'm excited to see this. I've heard really good things about this. A lot of the people who read a lot of romance have been raving about this. I don't know if it's a series or just duology. The first 2 books are out right now. But I believe it's a diverse, football-y sports romance. Your girl's real into sports romance right now, so I'm reading a lot of them. So this one was there, and I was like, yoink, that's mine. I also picked up Perfect Kind of Trouble by Chelsea Fine. Look at who puts a sticker on the front of the book. But this was $3.95, and it's blurbed by Cora Carmack. This, after purchasing it, leaving the store, I found out I believe this is actually book 2 of a series, but guess what? The other books in the series were also on Book Outlet, so your girl has an order coming. Don't worry, I'll be fine. But this just sounded really good. It sounds like a new adult romance. I'm reading a lot of it right now, so this went into my arms and into my car. And then speaking of Cora Carmack, I got a copy of Losing It, because I've actually never read this trilogy by her. I've read her young adult books. I like Cora Carmack. I adore her. I've met her a couple times in person, and she is like one of the sweetest authors. She will stand and talk to every single fan for like as long as they want. I love her. I love her. So I've been wanting to get to this. This is an older new adult series. Like, this has actually been out for a very long time, and I've always wanted to read it. I believe it's about a girl who goes to college and she is determined to lose her virginity. That's kind of a common trope in new adult, to be honest, or an older new adult. I'm here for it though, because I like Cora Carmack. I like her writing. She's funny. So I picked this up for $4.60. And I also picked up another K.A. Tucker book because I will always read K.A. Tucker. Like, she's one of my favorite authors to just randomly pick up when I'm in a slump. So this is Until It Fades. I believe I honestly only bought this because I think it's set in a small town. And I like small town romances. I don't know much about it. I kind of don't want to know much about it. It's K.A. Tucker. I'm gonna like it. It'll be fine. The last book that I have to talk to you guys about is Caged in Winter by Brayton Walsh. I got this because she's going to be at Polycon next year. Again, don't know much about this. New adult romance. Sexy times. That's all I need to know. And it was $4. So I bought it. The end. That, I believe, concludes my May book haul. It was a lot. It was a lot of romance. I know. June will most likely be the same. Possibly not as much romance, but it'll still be a lot of romance, let's be real. So that's, I don't know how many books, a lot of books. But that's going to be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you in my next one.